Good evening, good morning. Welcome to PADM 401 and the Penn State World Campus Masters in Homeland Security. I know some of you this is your first course. Others of you have taken courses at Penn State, and this is one of your electives. Others have gone through the program or gone through a significant portion of the program and are either midway or wrapping up the course now. So welcome to you and welcome to all the various cohorts in this section. I'm Rowan Sharma, and I will be your instructor for this summer. This is my third course here at Penn State, but my first time teaching this course, the 401 intro section. So I want to, again, just welcome you to the course, and I hope this course and this program both fulfills your professional as well as your academic needs. So what this course is, what this course isn't, let me start off with what this course is not. It is not a Homeland Security 101 course. It is not a Homeland Security Force Protection course. If you're coming from the military or government, you'll probably have taken a course in anti-terrorism force protection that teaches you how to be safe on an airplane or in a hotel room or what to do when you're traveling overseas. This is not a course like this. This is trying to look at Homeland Security as a government and policy function. This course is, as well as this entire program. So make sure that you consider that as you're progressing through the course material. It is not like what you do in if you're taking training in the Army where you click through the PowerPoints and you hope you get done at the end. This is more of a look at an academic and intellectual rigor. So, courses, what is an overall objectives? Again, we're going to look at, you see it in the syllabus, but just some things that strike out at me. Again, we're going to look at Homeland Security in multiple fashions. We're going to look at Homeland Security as an agency, Department of Homeland Security in D.C., and what it does and what it does not do. We're going to look at the interagency process, Homeland Security across, and the integration with other federal agencies. Most importantly, I think we're going to look vertically, which means Homeland Security as a federal function, a state function, and a local function as well. Those of you who are coming from municipalities, you'll understand this function. But for those of you who are in the military or work in the federal government, a lot of times you don't understand that Homeland Security is a function of states and local organizations as much as it is, or more so, than the federal government. In fact, the budget for Homeland Security down in state and local levels far exceeds that of the federal government. So that's kind of a look at what we're going to do. We're also going to look at Homeland Security from FEMA perspective, and we have an online course from there. We'll look at plans and programs. What does a Homeland Security do and do not, and how does Homeland Security get integrated, again, across state and local officials? So the course structure, again, you see the lessons, 12 weeks, about a lesson a week is how this course is broken down. It's a little bit more compressed because it's the summer, but we're going to start off with a few sections on legal framework. And again, we're going to discuss not just the constitutional limits or constitutional protections individuals have, but how the Constitution divides functions across multiple domains, again, federal, state, and local. This issue of federalism, what the federal government can and cannot do, what's delegated to states, will continue to pop up throughout this course, as well as probably throughout this entire curriculum. Executive functions, again, we're going to discuss how the big fat Homeland Security Department came about, what its functions were, what the problems were with big DHS, and there are plenty of them to come across when 22 agencies were brought together. We're going to talk about Homeland Security plans and programs, and then we're going to go into like individual functions, counterterrorism, consequence management, resiliency, first responders. For how does the federal government interact with first responders? Those are the types of questions we're going to go with when we talk about Homeland Security plans and programs. Then we'll have a lesson that kind of wraps it up and puts it all in context. So course requirements, the keystone is the weekly discussion sections. Please do these. Just think about what you're trying to do. Don't just spout out a paragraph on your iPhone. Think how the question pertains to the material, pertains to the reading, pertains to current events, pertains to what I might say in these weekly YouTube lectures. That's how you get the best discussions going. And again, post your discussion and respond to two of your classmates during the semester. We have plenty of people in this class, so there shouldn't be a dearth of discussion posts. And that's going to be the critical point, how you learn. There'll be two papers. You'll kind of choose the topics based on as we're going through the lectures. But I need to know your topics beforehand, before you start on your papers. And again, the papers are meant to be more analytical pieces, where the discussions are just top level thoughts, and you want to put your opinions and editorialize a little bit. The papers will be asking for analysis, and it'll be asking for argument and thesis, and those critical areas, and we'll talk about those in detail as we get closer to the paper due dates. And then the FEMA course. Sometimes we have problems people registering for the FEMA courses. I registered for it and didn't have a problem, but sometimes the requirements change. But it's an easy 100 points. Just if you do the FEMA course, register for it now, and then just complete it during the appropriate week. So just moving on to week one, we're going to talk about the Constitution, the amendments, the spirit of the Constitution, the amendments, the articles of the Constitution, and how you're implementing it in Homeland Security. This is vital because we talk about vertical Homeland Security, that integration between the federal government, state governments, local governments. And what I want you to think about when you're going through the material is what problems this can arise, or how this could, there's positives for this, but this could also lead to catastrophe. And I'll give you an example. During let me give you an example. The federal government cannot force an evacuation. That's up to state and local officials. Even though the federal government has, let's say there's a hurricane bearing down on New Orleans, the federal government might have the best information, the best emergency managers, and might have seen this scenario play out time and time again. They do not have the constitutional authority to order an evacuation. And some states don't have that state constitutional authority to do. We talk about Katrina being a disaster. A lot of it was a disaster because the federal government couldn't just sweep in with buses and everything and just take people away. That was not the authority of the federal government. Katrina had all sorts of other issues because of federalism, the relationship between the president and the state. The state could only invoke the National Guard. The state governor can only request military assets. The state, the President Bush at the time can't just say, I'm sending in the 82nd Airborne, and they're just going to police through and take care of looting or logistics issues. Only the state governor can do that. Interoperability, communications interoperability. We can't, as of 2000 or in 2005, there was no mandates that said that federal, state, and local will all operate on these types of frequencies and use these type of radios so we can communicate seamlessly. There's an issue whether the federal government has the mandate to do that. Again, so you see these constitutional issues pop up. And again, you see them in Ebola or disease management. When you had Ebola, even when we have Zika, there is issues of federalism that come up that are applicable. So I want you to think through that as you're going through the material. And finally, the discussion again. I want you to bring this up, again, your thoughts in the discussion. How does the Constitution delineate roles, federal, state, and local? And where are the possible seams or gaps in these relationships? So I look forward to your discussion sections, and I look forward to seeing you in the rest of the course.